Hey YouTube, let me scoot down so you get my whole head. Nice day out here, probably only about 75 degrees. The humidity is down for the first time in a couple of weeks. Uh, we're going to talk about gears today. I see a lot of people saying that they ride in one gear all the time. Well, if you're riding in one gear, then you don't have the right gear ratio for you. You should be shifting your gears every couple of minutes at least, unless you're sliding on a flat surface and got a tailwind. You probably are going to need to shift gears to accelerate, to decelerate. You don't want to, especially on a mid-drive bike, you want to be in the right gear when you stop so that when you take off, you can do it easily. On a hub drive bike, if you use the throttle to start off, obviously you don't care what gear you're in. But if you can climb a hill without changing gears, then you probably need a different gear set. Now, there's two kinds of systems that the rear wheel gears have. It's either a freewheel or a cassette system. The cassette systems are the easiest ones to change. It requires a chain whip and a tool, whether it's a Shimano Campanello or one of the other brands, SRAM. They all require a tool that goes into a lock uh, ring, and then you unlock it, and you can pull it off and change the gears. It's really simple. It just requires you to remove the rear wheel. Now, the freewheel system is a little more complicated because they tend to be really tight because the action of pedaling causes the freewheel to tighten up. So you need tools to take it off, but you don't need tools to put it back on, because the minute you put it on, screw it on with your hand, and you push down on the pedal, you're going to tighten it up more. So the freewheel system also is very old, has been around for a long, long time, probably since the 50s. But the problem with the freewheel is you have less choices. Years ago, you had all kinds of choices. You could find a freewheel in any kind of size or gear set that you wanted, but nowadays, you're really limited to what's available, and most of the time it ain't the right choice for you. The cassette system is so much better. So if you're looking for an e-bike, look and see if it has a cassette on it or if it has a freewheel. If it has a cassette, is it going to be the better choice? It's going to be future-proof probably, because you'll be able to find a cassette to fill it. 7-speed freewheels and cassettes are going to be a thing of the past in a few years. 8-speed, 9-speed, 10-speed. They go up to 12-speed, and in the future, I imagine they'll go higher than that. But right now, 12-speed's the upper limit. And once they developing cassette systems in that went above 10 and 11 and 12, most of the bike manufacturers got rid of the front chain rings, shifters, and the 3 chain rings that used to be standard on most mountain bikes. The reason they did was because they felt there was enough weight savings and choices in the 12 speed and 11 speed and 10 speed to make it worthy of not having a front derailleur. The bike's less complicated without that derailleur, and there's less to adjust or worry about. So, so if you look at your rear chain rings and you see that there's one gear that's completely clean, then you should be looking for a different choice. Now, you could take your back wheel off. You don't want to buy the tools or mess with it. You take your back wheel off and take it to a bike shop and tell them what you're looking for, and they can put one on it, assuming they have what you want. Same thing with a cassette. If you don't feel like messing with it, you could just take your bike to the shop and say, hey, I want a different cassette, and tell them what you think you need and why you need it, because they need to know, so they get you the right gear set. I'm riding an 11 to 25 tooth 10 speed cassette. and I use all the gears. All of mine are dirty, and all of it had the chain on it probably today already. All of them, all 10 of them. I tend to ride in the 8th, ninth more often than I do in the 25th, which is the 25th to 25 tooth, which is the biggest tooth. But I still get in it once a day at least, and you should be in like the first or second gear when you take off on a mid-drive bike anyway, because you should be doing as much work as the motor does when you take off, because it causes a lot of strain on the motor if you start in the higher gears. So looking through the Bosch forums on mid-drive motors Bosch makes, they typically start needing a rebuild between 10 and 15,000 miles. It can be sooner if you're riding in a lot of wet conditions, or it could be longer. It's whenever you feel free, any kind of play in your crank arms, or you start hearing an unusual noise, that you're going to need to have it rebuilt. Bosch will sell you a rebuild kit, but it won't necessarily sell you a new motor. You have to have a good reason to need a new motor. It's like it's not rebuildable. Then they might sell you a motor, and they're spendy. You're talking about $1,000 is what it's going to cost you. And all you're going to get is a motor, and it still needs to be programmed after you get it. So you have whatever the dealer charges you for a programming fee. Because it's not anything you can do yourself. It requires software to get the motor so it works with your bike. Other mid-drives don't have any kind of software that really controls them. They have a controller just like any other bike. But in Bosch's case, all the motor control is on a board in the motor, and it has to be programmed. It has to know the limitations for your speeds and that kind of stuff. Most mid-drive motors have a limitation on how fast you can rotate the pedal arms and still get any kind of output from it. With this active line, it's 100 revolutions per minute, and after that it doesn't provide any assistance. So if you have to pedal faster than that, you're not going to get any assistance out of the motor. The motor also cuts off at 19.7 miles an hour. It doesn't make it to 20 miles an hour. You know when it cuts off, you can tell that you're doing all the work. And a lot of mid-drives are like that. They'll cut off slightly before where they're supposed to because of federal standards. Hub drives are, let me put it this way, like on my electric, I have a 20-inch wheel. If I had a 26-inch wheel on it, that bike would go faster than 28 miles an hour, because the limitation on the hub drive is going to be how fast it can turn that wheel. The bigger the wheel, the more distance traveled, the faster you'll go. And the easier it is to roll over objects and obstacles, because the big wheel rolls over it much easier. I don't know why they decided not to make it. It took them 5 years before they made the first full-size wheeled bike. And I might consider an electric, but so far I haven't seen any that I would spend money on. My sticking point is the fact they're still using freewheels on the crap. Shimano no longer makes freewheels. They are all licensed products from Shimano, meaning Shimano licensed their product to another company in China that makes that stuff. And there's some of them you used to be able you could rebuild a freewheel when it went bad, but now when it goes bad, it's just time for a new one. And typically freewheels cassettes only last about 5,000 miles, and then they need to be replaced. They'll usually have significant wear on them. And then on some drive systems, you have to replace them every time you replace the chain. There's just no way around it. the drivetrain will feel rough, and the roughness comes from the chain not mating to the cassette or the front chain ring. I say every 3 times you need to replace the chain ring. There's been bikes I never replaced the chain ring on because the chain ring just never wore much. But out of all the gears that need to be replaced, the chain ring needs is the least amount of times. You can get more miles out of those. You typically in the 10,000 mile range. When I replace the chain on this, it's getting close, but it still don't need to be replaced, and we have 3,000 miles on this chain and cassette. When I replace the chain and cassette, I'm also replacing the front drive wheel, because jive gear, because it's looked like it could have used a replacement the last time. I already have one. I'm also going to replace the cassette body on the hub, because the springs on that hold the paws out to catch so that it ratchets, they're getting wore out. The last time I took it apart and cleaned it and re-greased it, I was thinking it was about time to replace it. And it's starting to not catch right away. There's a little play in it, so it's time. I already have one of those at home. I just did the brakes this spring, so I don't think we'll need brakes anytime soon. So I just want to do a video, get it out there. I'm going to be gone for a while. Bike's going to be not used for a while, but I'll see you in a couple of weeks probably, and we'll change the shifter cable. It's coming unwound back here, and it's just time. Okay, have a great day. Like, subscribe, you know what to do. Hey, get out there and ride your bike and enjoy life.